thank you so much for joining us today for this Chat with Me video. Today's topic is AnyWare, bringing the classroom to you wherever you are. And as you can see, we are meeting in the AnyWare platform today. So AnyWare is Learning Tree's virtual training platform that we created. It's a really, really great way to attend training virtually. As you can see here, we have our attendees on one side, the chat pod. The chat pod is, of course, really great when you're working with your fellow attendees. We got the videos, the buttons at the bottom here you can see to chime in for assistance. So that's just a little overview of the platform. But today we have two folks with us here that's going to give us even more of an in-depth look at AnyWare. We have Ben Kite, who's our Managing Director of EMEA.
Hey, good afternoon.
Very good. And we also have Brandon Finland from our headquarters in North America with us.
Hello.
Thanks so much, both of you, for joining us today. Brandon, I'll start with you. Now, in light of concerns regarding COVID-19, Learning Tree recently made the call to convert our entire Learning Tree public course schedule to 100% virtual. Can you tell me a little bit about what went into the planning of that decision?
Sure. Yeah. So I think that by a lot of people currently in the world today, we were really surprised by how quickly COVID was spreading and really disrupting the business world. So we felt that from our standpoint, the responsible thing to do was to support social distancing. But at the same time, we also knew a number of our clients still had some needs. So we went ahead and made the call to move everything over to 100% environment. Thankfully, we had AnyWare there as a tool, so that made that switch pretty seamless from our standpoint to take our existing course library and move that over. So those steps went pretty quickly. The next part was to work with our clients, our instructors, to make sure that the exercises we had, as well as our partners, to make sure the exercises that we had would translate over to a virtual environment. There was a few that were really exercises that were meant for an in-class environment. So modifying some of those to make sure that the experience was still sound overall.
Right, right. And I know you mentioned that just along with us and our clients who are sort of going through the same virtual workforce challenge right now, a lot of our partners are seeing that seeing the need to allow for more virtual opportunities for training. Ben, have you seen some of partners in the UK follow suit there?
Yes, Jim. Yeah, we have. I mean, due to the quality of our interactive platform, we were already delivering virtually for the majority of our partners, to be fair. However, I have seen two significant U-turns in the last week. Two of the big players in the Agile space. First was SAFE, and next Scrum Alliance, where typically we had run exclusively in the classroom. They moved to virtual delivery just last week. So we now are offering virtual classes for the Scrum Alliance, which is mainly your Scrum certified Scrum Master, and the Product Owner course, and also the SAFE certification track. So we've reacted pretty quickly to that. We've got a public schedule of virtual offerings through to the end of May for both of those tracks. And obviously fully available. There's closed team events for any customer, but fully virtual. The other significant point, I think, is ISC squared in the cyber certification space. And I'm thinking particularly about CISSP and CCSP. We are, to my knowledge, the only provider currently in the UK that can offer the official content virtually, so the Instructor-Led virtual courses.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. You know, I mean, I've taken an AnyWare course before. I love it. I love being able to chime in. I love the engagement. The breakout rooms capability is really cool and fun. But I know that a lot of people are wary about online training. Maybe they've had some bad experiences in the past. Brandon, what would you say to clients, or have you heard any concerns from clients recently regarding online training?
I would say that the same concerns that we're hearing from our clients now are the same virtual instructor-led, training, or VILT for short. They're the same things we've always heard. There are so many myths associated with what that looks like. Just name a few. They can't interact with their peers. It really limits their time with instructors. They're going to forget everything after the class, or I'm just going to listen to somebody read a bunch of slides, and there's no real value in that. So I want to tackle that last one there for a second, because I actually think that there is probably grounded in some truth there. Is that typical virtual instructor-led training, if it's not done correctly, can be very much like that, right? But if you take the time to, and you have an instructor core that knows how to develop the curriculum to be really engaging, or has a platform that actually facilitates that. So you have sandboxes for hands-on learning. You have breakout rooms that continue those conversations. It's a really different experience, and it's pretty rewarding. So I think that what we're seeing now as a result of everything going on with COVID and the disruption that's having, that people are a lot more open to having these conversations before. And so, like anything, if you can educate and help them understand what that looks like, then it really does increase the opportunities, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Right. Yeah. And it really is all about turning the challenges into opportunity, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And speaking of that, Ben, in the UK, have you seen any companies or clients that have really turned this suddenly remote workforce challenge into an opportunity, where they're really somehow using this disruption to their advantage?
Yes, Jen, we have, and I've got numerous examples, and that's growing almost on a daily basis right now. Two that sort of stand out. One was with a large defence aerospace organisation. They had a stakeholder there that had an experience with our virtual classroom and has approached us recently on the basis they've got their entire workforce now working remotely. So his request now is us to send him the catalogue of all the course offerings that we could deploy via the virtual classroom, because he's thinking about keeping his workforce engaged, obviously during this period. So I thought that was a great example. The second one is a global professional services organisation. We've been working with them to support, learning tree delivery through the virtual classroom environment. And they regarded it so highly, the experience, as a credible alternative to classroom training, that they've now asked us during this period as to whether they could enter a commercial arrangement for them to license the AnyWare platform to deploy all of their training right the way across the organisation. So can't get a better testimony than that just now.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, it really is turning all those challenges into opportunity. Really glad to see that our clients are taking advantage of that as well. Brandon, do you have any advice for our clients or just organization leaders or business execs who are, have a workforce that has suddenly gone remote? Can you think of a couple of things that they should be doing right now to ensure they're staying the course with organizational goals and their KPIs and so on?
Sure. I'd say the first thing is just take a deep breath. You need to really trust and understand that the basics and the best practices, the approach you use with your team, are the same as managing a remote team. They just take on that much more of an added degree of importance. So three that come to mind are communication, managing expectations, and then leveraging technology. So I've got Ben here. So I told you that I would love to have this conversation just so I can give him a hard time. We had a meeting just the other day. It's a meeting we have every Friday. There's a large number of us that attend here in our headquarters, and then we have obviously Ben and the team in the UK, some of the members in Sweden, and while we'll always pause as part of that conversation to allow dialogue and collaboration. This was the first all virtual one that we did. And Ben, I think you're the one that made a comment about how this one was just very different. I went into this meeting concerned, right? Because we had 20 people in this room. We're going to be all talking over each other and what that looks like. But it actually, to me, was in many ways a better meeting environment. Much more collaborative, much more broad participation. So keeping that in mind, it's different. Different doesn't necessarily have to be bad. It can, in many ways, can actually be better if you just plan for that. So, our teams are concerned right now. So keeping that in mind, reaching out to them, walking them through that. It may take a little bit more communication, collaboration, and coaching to make them feel comfortable with this different environment. But if you do that, you really are laying a strong foundation for you and your organization.
That's great.